What's going on? What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? Welcome to a special broadcast of World Kidney News. I am your host, Steve Belcher. Man, I'm telling you, did y'all get an opportunity to see Kidney Stories 2 with Uncle Jim and Dr. Goggins, the transplant surgeon? Man, that was an awesome show. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, you can go to our YouTube page, Urban Health Outreach Media, or you can go to our Urban Health Outreach Media Facebook page and look under videos. That was a great show. Dr. Goggins gave some great information. I mean, some great information. And again, if you didn't see that show, man, you really missed out. And these are the kind of shows we want to broadcast to our Kidney Warrior followers. So please, if you didn't get a chance to see Kidney Stories 2 with Uncle Jim's interview with Dr. William Goggins, renowned transplant surgeon, you need to take a look at it. I'd like to thank sponsor Dallas's Warrior Gear. Again, let me show you some masks this guy, Michael Scott, is doing. Amazing work. He's also a transplant warrior, right? A transplant warrior. He's on the front line making masks. So if you're interested in getting a mask, reach out to Michael Scott. He's on Facebook, or Dallas's Warrior Gear. We have his information scrolling below. He also do custom made. Here go another one, another picture. So again, if y'all guys can't get your hands on the mask, I mean, get the next best thing. This right here. Don't use no bandana or no t-shirt. And again, you can get that from Dallas's Warrior. So tonight we're going to finish part 2, right, of managing your care during the coronavirus. And here again, to help unpack this, we got 29-year transplant warrior, kidney disease advocate, and CEO of New York State CKD Champions, no other than Don P. Edwards. What's going on, Don?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's staying safe.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about yourself? You staying?
Oh, yeah, man, I tell you, New York is hot, boy. This is ground zero for COVID-19. So I'm staying put and keeping safe. And thank God I'm doing my treatments at home and got my blood work back. I'm doing very well. Thank the Lord.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Now, on our last show, we talked about how uh, some of New York City's clinics are becoming understaffed and undersupplied. Have you heard anything different since our last show and today by you being on the task force?
Well, I heard that some supplies are starting to come in. Um, that the problem is the large dialysis centers, they have their supplies, but the smaller dialysis centers are still having those issues with getting the supplies that they need, and so the problem is still going on until those federal products make their way to the dialysis centers, because they're doing the hospitals first. So when the hospitals get their supplies and they re-up on everything that they need, then the smaller dialysis centers will be able to get some supplies. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Wow. This is unprecedented for something like this to happen
Who would
at
ever
this
think?
time.
You know? Yeah.
Hmm. Now, what information have for kidney warriors to stay safe during this crisis?
Yeah, we want to, we
I mean, too, about at home.
right. We talked about the other day, we talked about some things that our warriors can do who are in the dialysis center. And we have a couple of things that we want to share with our home, with our home warriors as well, because we already assumed, everybody assumes, yeah, you're safe, you have everything that you need, and and we're pretty, hopefully we're pretty well stocked and everything, but there's some information for our home patients that we want to share as well. We want everybody to get a little taste. So, there's a
Mm-hmm.
couple of things that we want to tell our home patients, just so they can be on guard, and they can be prepared as well. Because things are a little different when you're a home patient than when you're in the dialysis center.
Absolutely. I'm trying to get these pictures so I can load them up to show our viewers that you sent me.
Oh
Get
yes, I
them.
wanted everybody to get a chance to see the machines.
Sure.
There's
So let me ask you this.
sure.
What's the biggest challenge uh for warriors who are doing home dialysis with this coronavirus? And I'll let you explain that and I'll go retrieve these pictures.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest challenge for home patients right now is probably their deliveries, because usually the delivery man will come deliver your supplies. He'll bring them in the house and he'll stack them up for you, and he'll arrange them, the way that you want it and everything. But because of the virus now, the delivery men are not coming into the house. They're leaving your supplies outside. So for some patients, that's really challenging because you have to bring your supplies in the house and stack them up the way that you want. And that can be a problem for some people. They can't lift the boxes, or they can't stack them up. And that seems like that's like the biggest challenge for our home warriors right now. So that was one of my tips is, when your delivery comes, it'll be good for you to have somebody at the house, or have somebody that you can call on nearby that can come and help you bring your supplies in the house, because due to the virus, I wouldn't want anybody in my house at this time anyway, and the delivery people aren't crazy about coming inside as well. So that's just for our safety and their safety as well.
Right. Now, at you said something very important. You said you wouldn't trust anybody coming to your house. At what point do you do that? When the federal government says, okay, the lift is up, or you never do it again? At what point do we as a society say all clear? I mean, do we go by one person's word or a government to say they come out and say, okay, tomorrow everything is lifted. You can people could go on about their daily life like it was. I mean, when as a society, when will you let that person deliver your supplies, bring it in your house? Or is this the new normal of them dropping the shipment off on the curbside and one is left to get those supplies in the house? Is this the new normal, Don?
It's really difficult, Steve. I'm not going to listen to any one person. I don't care who comes on television and says, all clear, life is back to normal. I want to see some figures. I want to see this virus under control, and I want to see these numbers start to go down and just about eliminate it, to the point where we stop getting these reports every day on the news, and we see those numbers of cases start to get back down towards zero. I think that's when I'll feel a little bit more comfortable, and I think that that probably would be a time where other people will start to feel like we got this like this thing is under control. And I'm sure it's going to be a long time before that happens. So for right now, yeah, this is going to be the new normal for us.
So, what other tips do you have for warriors doing home dialysis, whether it's peritoneal or home hemo, to protect themselves from the coronavirus?
Well, the first thing that I want to say, and this is for home warriors, transplant, and in-center patients, is about your mask. A lot of facilities have the mask now, and they're asking patients, as soon as they come in the door to the dialysis center, whether you're coming in for treatment or you're coming in for your clinic visit or you're coming in to do labs or whatever, they're asking you to mask up. So, for home patients, they're telling you to bring your mask along with you, because we get our own supply of masks and sanitizer, soap, and things of that nature. So they're asking you to bring your mask along with you so that they can save the supply for the in-center patients. And one of the things that I wanted to show was I wanted to show the proper way to put your mask on so that it's protecting you. Because a lot of people put these masks on and they put them on in a way that they might as well not even bother. So I got two masks with me. One of them is the N95 mask, and everybody doesn't have these. I just happened to be able to get one of these from my friend when I went down to Florida. She got them from Home Depot. So painters and contractors use these. This is the N95 mask, and you can see uh it says N95 on the bottom of the mask, and it's these are made to fit over your face. There's a clamp here for your nose, and I'm going to show you how to put it on properly. So you take both of the elastics and you put them behind your head. You want to make sure that the mask is covering your chin. So make sure that your chin is covered so that nothing can escape or nothing can get out or nothing can get in underneath. You want to make sure that the straps are comfortable. One is on top of your ear and the other one is on the bottom of your ear. And then you want to pinch the mask at the nose so you can make sure that nothing can go out and nothing can come in at your nose. So that's the proper
Hmm.
way to put your mask on so that your whole face is covered. Because otherwise, germs and bacteria and the COVID virus can get in underneath. And if you wear glasses and you put your mask on and your glasses fog up, then you don't have your mask on properly, because
Correct.
if you got the nose pinched, then your breath won't seep out through the mask, so you can tell if your mask is on correctly. So that's an N95 mask, but we don't have those. So I'm going to take this one off and I'll show you how. This is the mask that we usually have. These are surgical masks. And these are supposed to be one time use only, but because of the shortage, I heard that a lot of patients are given one mask, and some of them are told to bring your mask back for your next treatment. So you want to put it in a paper bag, and bring it back with you back and forth to treatment. I mean, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. So you want to make sure that your pleats are facing outward, and make sure that it's intact, it's not wet or anything, because if it's wet or it's torn, it's not going to work for you. And you put your mask over your face, again, over your ears. Make sure your chin is covered. So it doesn't work unless you pull it down over the chin and properly covering your nose. And then again, you got to pinch it at the nose so that that's protecting your nose. And that's the way that you properly put on your mask. So patients that have a PD cath, patients that have a femoral cath, or if you're doing your own catheter care, You want to make sure your mask is on properly, because even if you have a any type of infection, upper respiratory infection, while you're doing your catheter care, you can infect your catheter. So you want to make sure that you put this mask on correctly so that you don't get any bacteria or anything on your PD cath or on your chest catheter. So this is a very important part of your care for yourself.
What about home patients? What if they're not readily available?
Home patients, we get our deliveries once a month. So that's the next thing on my list for your tips. Don't wait till the last minute to place your order for your supplies. A lot of patients, I know I do, I always make sure that I have extra. So in case there is a delivery issue or I can't get something or something's on back order, I have supplies on reserve. So I
Or
have, uh-huh.
now, go ahead, Don.
I have several boxes of masks, gloves, sanitizer, antibacterial soap, paper towels. You want to always make sure you have that stuff on reserve. When it starts to get half to halfway, then you want to re up on these things. Don't wait until
Right,
you get down to your last bottle or your last box to place an order.
right. Also, you can get these masks made by Kidney Warrior Michael Scott.
Yeah, you
Um,
can use those again. You can use them over and over.
if you don't have anything, just putting it out there, he sells two for $12. Not
I
a
love
bad deal.
uh, yeah, I'm loving that bling bling one, boy. That's my style right there.
Right. So let me pull up one of these pictures and we discuss the picture in coronavirus. So here we have
That's the
dialysis
next.
machine.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
the
talk
home.
about that?
Hold on. Go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead. Talk about it.
Oh boy, here goes that connection issue. Okay, I see you back, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Yeah, can you talk
That's
about this machine?
yes, that's the next stage. That's the home hemodialysis machine. So on the top is the cycler. That's the part that cleans the white part on the top, and then the black part on the bottom. That's your water purification system. So that's the whole machine in its entirety. And that's what most people that do home hemo, and that's actually my machine right there. It's right next to my bed. I took my night table out and I shoved that machine right in there, and everything that I need is right there. And to
So it
disinfect
stays
that machine,
stationary there.
oh yes, it stays right there. I don't move it. It's no need to move it because I do my treatments while I sleep. So it stays right there. But when I travel, I take that top part, the white part, I take that with me, and I leave the bottom part home.
Okay, and then what you can treatment without the bottom part?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You can still do your treatment without the bottom part.
Right. Yes. That bottom part is my water supply. So that's hooked up to my sink in my house. But when you travel, your water can't be tested where you're going, and you can't do you don't know if that water is good. So you take bag dialysate when you travel. They send it to wherever you're going, and those hooks that are up on the top of the machine, that's where you hang your bag dialysate when you travel.
Got you. Got you. Let's bring up another picture in PD. Now,
Okay.
this is a yeah, this picture is so big that we can't fit in it. But talk about this
That's all
machine
right.
right here.
Okay, so now that's the Baxter. That's the Baxter PD machine. And some people still use that. Some people have that, and that's the one that I used when I was on PD. And that you got your warming tray on the top. You throw your bag of dialysate on the top, and any other bags that you have to connect, they lay on the side of the tray. And there's no blood involved. We all know PD is really safe. It's easy to do and it's gentle, and there's nothing you have to do but wipe these machines. All of these machines, you wipe them down with a Clorox wipe or a bleach and water solution, so you don't have to disinfect, like the big machines in the dialysis center. Oh, did we lose Steve again? Okay, so he's going to show the other machines. I also sent him a picture of uh the new Baxter dialysis machine. Okay, so that's the Liberty dialysis machine. A lot of Fresenius patients use this machine. Um, This is the Fresenius Liberty PD machine, and it looks pretty similar to the Baxter machine. It's a little new. It's a little new. It's got some nice interface on the front, with the directions and everything on the screen and everything. So it's similar to the other one, but that's just the Fresenius machine. So a lot of Fresenius patients use that.
Mm-hmm. What about this one?
Now this is the new Baxter machine. That's I don't know if it's Amia or Amia, but this is like the godfather of PD machines right here. It's all
Really?
touch screen. Yeah, it's touch screen. It gives you the directions on what to do. Um and there's just like no way you can make a mistake with this one. It's really small too, easy to carry around. It's very lightweight, and whether you're at a Fresenius, DaVita unit, whatever unit you go to, you can ask for the new Baxter machine, and they can provide you with that one if that's what you ask for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, Don, you work with the Corona Task Force, the Coronavirus Task
Yes,
Force. What's the
yes.
official name for it?
That's It's called the COVID-19 Task Force, and I work with them through my ESRD network. I'm the patient representative on there. So they get daily reports in about the status of what's going on within our network, which is New York State. And every other day at 7:15 in the morning, we have a conference call where they give us the latest information on the COVID virus, how many cases we have, how many dialysis centers are affected, how many staff members have the virus, how many people are under observation, and whatever new developments are coming on and what's going on in our dialysis centers as it refers to the COVID virus.
Now, any change from last broadcast?
Unfortunately, yes. On Tuesday, I reported that there were 79 patients that were tested positive for COVID in the New York State area. It was 79. And now we're up to 108, and that was as of Thursday. So we have
Mm-hmm.
108 confirmed dialysis patients in New York State with the COVID virus, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 78 of them are currently hospitalized. 78 out of 108 are hospitalized. So the rest of those patients didn't require hospitalization, and they're receiving treatment in dialysis centers.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So
but
that's
it's what is the population of New York? Isn't it more than 8 million people?
That's just in the 5 boroughs of New York. There's over 10 million people in the what we call downstate New York City area, which encompasses the 5 boroughs: New York, Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
there's over 10 million people. But for the for New York State, I mean, come on now. There's millions of people, in New York State. And I believe we have, out of the millions of people in New York State, I believe we have about 32 or 30 to somewhere between 32 and 35,000 dialysis patients.
Now, are there any confirmed cases of any patients at home dealing with the coronavirus?
Well, it doesn't separate between in-center and home patients. I can ask about that. I didn't even think to ask about that. That's a great question. And my concern, is that probably not, because the home patients are more isolated. But then again, you can't say that, because we're around people too, so we're just as easy to contract it as an in-center patient.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, have your have your appointments been canceled? How do you see your nephrologist or make your appointments now?
That's great. You're asking me questions that are right on the tip list. Um, a lot of home patients, since the beginning of March, Medicare has approved telehealth. So they're paying for the telehealth services, and a lot of home patients are downloading apps so that they can have their clinic visits via telehealth. So for PD patients, you still have to go in once a month to do your blood draws, but you can see your physician through your telephone or your tablet through the app, which is really good. I know Davita gave us the information to download on our app at my clinic visit last week. And I believe Fresenius has an app for their home patients as well. And Rogerson also is seeing their home patients via Zoom. So a lot of home patients don't even have to go out for their clinic visits now, which is protecting us even further.
True, but what about the hands-on assessment? Have we gotten to a point now where we just look at someone and can automatically tell um they okay instead of doing a physical listen to the lung sounds and listen to apical pulse and actually being in front of someone doing a head to toe examination? Have we gotten to a point where that's no more now, Don?
No, actually, if a patient is not stable, then you do need to go in and see your doctor. If you're in a stable condition, like you're not having any difficulty breathing, you're not having any symptoms, you're not having any problems with your access, you're not over your dry weight, or there's no edema or anything like that, then you're considered stable and you're able to do your own assessment. They You still have to send in your flow sheets after every treatment, so they're looking at your blood pressure, your pulse. You're supposed Most patients have a stethoscope so that they can listen to their own access. And so we do a lot of our own assessments. And if there's a situation where you don't feel right, or you don't, if something's not quite right, you're instructed to call your care team immediately, and you will have to go in for an assessment. Now these video clinic visits, uh, they're temporary, and you still have to see your physician in person at least every 3 months. So you can't go on for 6 months without seeing your physician. You can only do these video visits for 2 months, and that third month you have to see your physician in person.
Hmm. That's if they allow us.
Well, I mean, you have to be able to go out for your clinic visit. Even if you
Right. But
can't go to the
if we in lockdown, like a mandatory lockdown, won't that kind of change things?
well, what they're doing in New York is they're providing dialysis patients with letters in case there is a mandatory lockdown, so that
Hmm.
they can show anyone, listen, I'm a dialysis patient, I have to go to the doctor or I have to go to treatment, and you have verification for being out in the street.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, Don, as an educator and advocate and working on multiple committees, what is your biggest fear with the coronavirus?
My biggest fear about this, more so than being concerned about myself, I'm concerned about the vulnerability of the in-center dialysis patients. This is one of the reasons that I advocate so hard, and I spend so much of my time in the dialysis centers talking to patients about the benefits of home therapy. When something like this breaks out, or we have an emergency situation, um you know uh we had Hurricane Sandy up here in New York, and or anything that would prohibit a patient from being able to get out of the house and go to dialysis. Say we have some type of disaster, and and patients are getting, right now patients are being moved from center to center. If you're COVID positive now, they're trying to get all the patients moved into one dialysis center. If you're at home, you don't have these issues. Your machine is right in your house. You can do your treatment, and some of these are things that I presented to patients when I talk to them about the benefits of home therapy. Not only are you going to feel better by doing your treatments more often, but when things like this happen, you're not affected. So my real concern is for our vulnerable patients that have to get into these vans and they have to sit in the waiting room, or they're going to outpatient dialysis centers in a room full of 30 people plus staff, where some people are wearing a mask, some people refuse to wear a mask, some people are symptomatic, some people aren't. That's really stressful to me. And that's a big concern. And it should be a concern to all of our warriors right now.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here? Let me ask you this. Do you think, in your honest opinion, that there's been a lot of education and information put out there for um, kidney warriors?
As far as home is concerned, or as far as
Just in
COVID is
general,
concerned.
insufficient. Do you think the majority of patients dealing with this disease understand the magnitude of what's going on? Do you think they've been educated enough from? Because we know we have these large organizations. Do you think information is being disseminated like it should be?
Absolutely not. Now, one thing I will tell you, home patients are educated. And that's another reason that I feel so bad, because you're missing out on so much disease management information every month. When a home patient goes in for clinic and meets with their team, they have time allotted out of that clinic visit for education. And that's when you see all of the sheets and everything that you're talking about, the information that doesn't get disseminated to the in-center patients. That's when those sheets come out. And every
Mm,
time I go to clinic, I get a handful of sheets with education about a different topic of disease management.
hmm
And the in-center patients just don't get that because there's no time to give them that necessary education.
hmm
And peer mentors and advocates are so important to the education process because we're dedicating our time to go out and talk to patients. And a lot of times I'll go to the dialysis center and walk around the unit, and I'll say, "Hey, how you doing? I got some information or some education for you today." And people say, I'm not interested." So when somebody says that, you know, you're pretty much shutting it down.
Right. And that leads me to my next question. Look, we have over 700,000 people undergoing some form of kidney dialysis.
Yeah.
And there's only 3 people on this broadcast. As an educator and patient yourself, why do you think that's the case where it's only 4 people uh, watching this show that may be or may not have kidney disease when you have more than 700,000 people dealing with this disease and under attack by this pandemic? Why do you think there's only 4 to 5 people watching a broadcast like this when this is life-saving information? Just from your opinion.
I think one of the reasons is a lot of people, once they go to dialysis and they come home, they don't want to hear about it anymore. They want to do something else, anything that doesn't have to do with dialysis, even though this is life-saving information that can help you improve your quality of life. Another thing is, it's Friday night and people may be watching primetime TV, or watching, like you said, watching Netflix or whatever's on television. And this is just really, not of interest to them. But, regardless to what the reasons are, we are charged with educating and giving out this information, and we just hope that people will share the broadcast or come back and look at it later, or tune in while they're in the dialysis chair, or tune in at another time when they're available and get this information, because you're not going to get it in your dialysis center because they just don't have time to give it to you. And this can make a difference between life and death right now. This information is life saving.
Absolutely. And we don't get paid for this, do we?
No, I wish I did.
We don't get
I
paid one dime
I'd have,
coming on this
yeah.
broadcast. And I mean, it's just this is what we are tasked to do, and we're going to continue to do it. But it just saddens me that you have free information and people mention that kidney disease is not mainstream, and we're right here trying to make it mainstream. And uh, was
I mean, it is what it is, Steve. You
sure.
know, we got to do what we got to do, and we just pray that we plant some seeds, and and they'll come and they'll bear fruit in its due time.
Right. Right.
So,
Absolutely.
oh, look at that. That's so nice.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Yevlin
bless your
from
heart.
New York.
All right, New York in the house. Oh, there's my Jared. Hey, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
other tips you have for us, Don, that warriors can can use in center and at home.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I already said about ordering those supplies, but another thing is a lot of us home warriors do have an abundance of supplies. And if you do have a lot of supplies, don't give your stuff away now that there's a shortage on sanitizer and soap and people want masks and stuff like that. Don't give your stuff away to people because we don't know what's coming up in the next couple of months. These items could be on back order, or they could run out of them or whatever, because we are in a crisis right now and you need your supplies for yourself. So I know that everybody wants to help one another and everything, but the best way you can help everybody else is to help yourself and to keep your supplies on hand for you to use yourself.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
else you
okay.
got?
Oh, I thought you was going. I thought you might have something to say about that.
Oh
Okay.
no, no, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. I mean, you can't help nobody unless you help yourself first.
Yeah. And when you do, if you do ever have to go in for a clinic visit and these telehealth visits are not available to you, make sure you take your sanitary supplies with you. And what I mean by your sanitary supplies, make sure you have your own sanitizer with you. Take a pair of gloves. Take a couple of pairs of gloves with you when you go out, especially if you're going out. Not even if you're not going to the clinic, if you're going out to the supermarket or if you're going to the drugstore, take your supplies with you. Put them in a little bag and put them in your purse, or put them in a bag and take them with you. You want to take your gloves, your mask, and your sanitizer, and even some alcohol wipes with you in case you need to wipe something down while you're going out, because you're going to put your hands on things. You're going to come into contact with people. And I'm just telling you from my own experience, I don't care how crazy I look walking around in the street with a mask. You don't know who's going to walk up beside you, or who's behind you in the drugstore or online, or who's next to you in the aisle. You have to protect yourself. So our home patients, you have these supplies. Use them to protect yourself. If you're
Wait,
going to the clinic, uh-huh.
no, what
Go
I was
ahead,
going to
Steve.
say, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Uh, Let me just make a excuse me, comment about wearing gloves as a nurse. You can't be wearing them damn gloves. Excuse my language, but those gloves all around, the whole day. I
No,
mean, if
you
you're
don't
going
do that.
to,
No.
but that's what people are doing. You
Oh
gotta
my God.
have,
No.
you gotta have enough there after you touch something or whatever.
Throw them
You take them
away.
off and you use. But people, I'm seeing people walking in the street just like today. I was at the gas station. When I went
Uh,
in, these ladies were in there playing the numbers, had on gloves, handling money, leaving out, getting in the car with the gloves and the mask on.
oh
And I just shook my
no.
head. Yes.
Oh,
People are discarding gloves in the street, not in receptacles. These guys,
oh boy.
if you're gonna wear gloves, make sure you take enough with you so you can change your
You can
glove,
change. Yes,
because that's what they do in
absolutely.
the dialysis unit. We change from patient to patient. We don't use on each patient, and that's what
Yeah,
people are
because if
doing in
you
the street.
if you go in the store with the gloves on, and then you're gonna come out of the store and you're gonna get in the car and put your hands on the steering
But
whole. Now
but
whatever
not
you
only
done
that,
touch, I mean,
but what but not only that, what about the people in Walmart and the other store and the places that use gloves and they're touching stuff um and not changing. They can't change after every customer, so they're wearing the same
they
gloves.
wearing the same ones all day. Well, I
Like, what
can't be.
about Costco's and these other where people behind the register are handling money and
That's right.
keeping the same gloves on?
You can't do that. You got to take those gloves off. And when you take your gloves off, your hands aren't clean. So after you take the gloves off, you still got to use your sanitizer or wash your hands because you don't take your gloves off and then go put your hands in your face because your hands still aren't
Yeah.
clean. So I mean, and even there's even a proper way to take those gloves off, aren't there, Steve?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you don't take the gloves and grab it by the fingers and pull them off either. You
You got to
fold them
slip it
down.
under.
Right, you fold them
Right.
down and flip it under and push it up in there and then and throw them in the garbage. There's a proper way to do
Absolutely.
that. Even when you blow your nose and use a tissue, there's a proper way to handle your mucus after you blow your nose. You don't just take the wet tissue and now you hold it in your hand and your hand is disgusting. Now you need to really wash your hands as opposed to using sanitizer if you handle the tissue in the right way. So
Right.
and see, for home patients, all of this COVID stuff, this is stuff we already been doing for transplant patients, and this should be the method that all patients are using all the time. COVID
So they
shouldn't
should have
make
been
us.
used to what they doing now. They should have been used to that.
Exactly. This is not new for me because these are things that I've been doing along and along. I'm immunocompromised. So I have to be careful every day, not just because the COVID virus is out, you know.
Right.
So
Right. But
so
other viruses
we
as
should be
well,
doing this. Yeah, we should be doing this every day,
like
you know.
CMV and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, C. diff is all over the place. The CMV virus, I got that from my donor when I had my transplant, and that CMV messed
Wow.
me up. Yeah. So there's C. diff, there's MRSA, there's even still H1N1 floating around. There's the flu. There's thousands of people that die every year from the regular flu. And there's dialysis
Hmm.
warriors that'll tell you in a minute, I'm not getting no flu shot. It makes me sick.
Absolutely. I've seen it many times.
Yeah, they refuse the flu shot, right? Yeah,
Now,
I've
what
seen
have
it.
you heard with supplies? Jared A. Brown asked, how will New York get more supplies?
Um, our supplies are supposed to be coming from the federal government. Um, as far as the hospitals are concerned, because the unless people have like Davita and Fresenius, they have their stuff warehoused. They have they pretty much have what they need. I'm sure that they're running low on supplies or or what have you. But we're getting supplies brought in from the federal government, Jared, and that's where the problem comes in. There's just not enough space and there's not enough storage for people to have an abundance of supplies. So our technicians and our nurses, they don't have gowns and shields for their face and masks and gloves. These things are just not readily available right now. So that's a big problem. And our healthcare providers are they're afraid now because they're not properly protected.
Don, what would you say? We have a comment from Vincent Akin. Hey, Vincent, thanks for watching the show, brother. And
Yeah,
also
hey.
Yevlin, Jared, with some more people I wanted to give a shout out to. Who else?
Yeah, let's
Kevin,
shout them all out.
Kevin from Idaho. And that's pretty much the three people, Rain. But Leslie. Thanks, Leslie,
Hey,
for watching
Leslie.
as well. But Vincent makes a good point. He says every time I go to the dialysis center, I have to demand that they give me space between chairs to my left and right. Is this a big issue in a lot of dialysis clinics? Do you hear about this?
Okay, now
About
now
not
this
enough
is
space between
this
chairs?
is yeah,
I
this
mean,
is a real
between
issue.
stations?
This is a real issue, But now, in order for a dialysis center to get their CMS or to get their state certification to be able to operate, there has to be a specific amount of space between dialysis chairs. It is not 6 feet. So don't kid yourself. It is not 6 feet between
Isn't it
one
72
patient.
inches?
I think it's a little 72 inches is 72 uh is 72 is that's only 3 feet, isn't it? 3 or 4 feet. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's something like 4 feet. And and that's all. So yes, you can beef about it, but if they're moving you, if they're giving you space, then that means they're taking space away from other patients, which is putting them in even more jeopardy. So I can understand your concern. Yeah, we definitely want that 6 feet, but that's why it's important to put that mask on, because according to state regulations, you have that allotted amount of space, and that's all you get. And that's why it's so concerning to me about our in-center patients, because we don't there's not 6 feet in operational space.
Mm. Now, has it become a point where they started using hepatitis B isolation rooms to dialyze patients with the coronavirus?
If you don't have a hep patient in your census, you can use the isolation room for a COVID patient. But if you have a hep patient, you know that yourself. If you got a hep patient, you can't put a COVID patient in a hep room, in a hep uh
Right.
isolation room. But if the facility has an isolation room and they don't have a hep patient in their census, then they can use it for a COVID patient. Another one of the regulations that's come down now is, in order to isolate the COVID patients, they're moving the non-COVID patients to the first three shifts, and they're dialyzing the positive COVID patient on the fourth shift. After all of the non-COVID patients have dialyzed, then they bring the COVID patient in and dialyze them on the last shift.
Hmm.
So I know that that can be very inconvenient for a patient, but if you're positive, you cannot um take a chance at infecting the non-COVID patients.
Hmm. Let me just address something right here for a minute.
Sure.
Alex, the address that's scrolling at the bottom is for this right here, Renadil. It's a probiotic and prebiotic dietary supplement, and that's what that is right here. It's not FDA approved, but it helps with low kidney function with people who have low kidney function with a probiotic and prebiotic. Right. So that's the address that's scrolling across the bottom. Kibo. Um, so Don, as we kind of wrap it up,
Yeah. Uh-oh. We may be wrapping it up early.
uh,
Oh, there
what?
you go.
No, it's an hour. I'm tired. It's 11 o'clock.
I hear you.
What are your recommendations and thoughts as we close um, for warriors who are watching this broadcast who do and uh, home dialysis uh, on this COVID virus? What
My
words
my
of wisdom can you leave?
my last and final thoughts are: don't play yourself. This virus is real. Patients are getting this virus, and some of them unfortunately are not recovering from it. And the best defense that you have is a good offense. So protect yourself and protect one another. Follow the instructions. Try to keep clean. If you have to go out, because we all have to go out at some point, I guess. If you have to go to the stores and go shopping and everything, be careful. If it's too many people in the aisle in the supermarket, don't go down that one. Go down another one. So that you can keep yourself protected. Do what you have to do. Do it quickly. Keep your sanitizer, keep your mask and stuff on you. Do what you got to do and come on home, and be careful who you're around and who's around you. And now is not the time to go to the birthday parties and all of that. We have to really protect ourselves, so that we can stay safe and stay healthy.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So, man, I tell you, who would have thought that we would be doing these shows behind a virus, a
Exactly.
pandemic?
Yeah. Who
But
would have
we're going to
thought?
be here. We're going to be here, World Kidney News, Urban Health Outreach Media, to give you, as we can, up to date education information on keeping yourself safe, whether it's the coronavirus, C. diff, hepatitis B, VRE, H1N1, whatever it is, and whatever you need to know dealing with this from an educational perspective. Urban Health Outreach Media is going to be there. And so, Don, thank you so much for taking time out of
It's
discuss
my
and information on the machines.
I'm sorry, dear, you're breaking up. I didn't hear you.
Do you do you have true?
Yes, I'm all set up for tonight.
Oh, okay. Can right quick?
Oh,
Are
sure.
you in a position?
Yeah, let me I turned it off so that it's not making noise uh while we were broadcasting, cuz I'm sitting right next to my machine, right in my
All
my
right.
sanctuary.
Let opportunity to see what you go through.
Yeah, let me see if I can turn everything around here. Okay, so you hear it beeping,
Sure.
and let's see. Okay, let me move back. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it making noise. I just turned everything on. So I'm all set and I'm ready to rock and roll tonight.
And so you got a needle container right there.
Oh yeah, there's my sharps container,
All
and
right.
let's see. And here's I keep a lot of my stuff over here. All kinds of stuff, alcohol and my oh, let me see here.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, you can see some of my stuff there. I got a lot of stuff going on in my room. I have a tiny room. New York doesn't give us a heck of a lot of space. So
All
I
right.
have my little this is my
And
some of
what's
my ancillary
in that?
supplies
What's that on top? Is that what you check your water with?
on this here. This
Yes.
is my tape and my bandages and for my catheter care. This is my tape and my needles, alcohol pads, uh my thermometer. I put it all in one place so I can sit it right on the bed when I get ready to get on. And
Why do you have that there?
What'd you say, dear?
Why do you have that stove mitten
Oh,
hanging from the top?
everybody asked me about my mitten. Well, what you got to do after you prime, you have to tap your dialyzer, like you do in the center, Steve. You tap your
To
dialyzer to
get
get
the
the
air
air out,
out.
to prime it. And so I put the mitten on because the dialyzer's hard, plastic, and I don't want to get a callus on my hand. So I put the mitten on when I go to do my tap, when I tap my dialyzer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And then I
Don.
got my this is
Huh?
my emergency takeoff kit here, my stethoscope.
Okay.
Yeah. And then yeah, that's about it. That's all my stuff.
Wow.
My my little junky room.
All right, Don. Well, thank you so much for that tour. Very, very enlightening, and I'm sure it gives other people opportunity to see what one goes through with home dialysis and how the setup is and how much room
Yeah.
it takes up and stuff like that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we're going to
And
definitely come back and do a show on home dialysis for
oh, I
warriors,
would
get a
love to
better
do that.
understanding.
Yeah, I and maybe we can do one where I'm actually putting myself on or something like that.
Sure,
So
sure.
everybody can
That'd
see.
be awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right,
All right.
Don. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. We appreciate all your advice and everything. Have a safe treatment tonight, and we'll be talking with you soon.
All right. Now take care, everybody. Be safe and God bless.
God bless you too, Don. Stay safe. Wow, she got out of there like I don't know what. Let's see what Yevlin said. Jared A. Brown had to get back with real numbers. Today, info New York City, death toll hits 365 as case count tops 23,000. Is that in New York or um oh, is this New York, Yevlin? 23,000? It is because you said today's info New York 5. So that's one person a day, 365 days a year. Wow. As case count tops, let's hope this doesn't go over 30, 50,000 people. Um, have mercy on New York City. All right, guys. Want to thank you again for coming on. Tomorrow night, we got a special broadcast. We have from the UK that's going to be on, and this is going to show. So tune in tomorrow, 9 p.m. for a special broadcast of Urban Reno Talk with Tamika and Steve. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for staying up. We know you could be doing anything else. Thank the 7 people that's watching. God bless you, and thank you for all your support. You too, Alex. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and watching the show again. We know you could be watching or doing anything else. Again, good night. God bless and stay safe.